Hey guys, so I wanted to talk to y'all today because my kids asked me a question yesterday and I actually found it to be, excuse my hair, oh my god, to be an interesting topic. So I wanted to see what y'all thought of it. The question was, why do Americans not care about other Americans, but we send as much money as we can to other countries, like, Africa and, other places that just don't have as much as we do, but yet we have a very alarming, overabundant homeless and poor people living in poverty, which we should not have because America is it's a rich nation, right? We're a rich nation. We shouldn't have a bunch of poor people, and everyone should be able to pay their rent and pay their bills and live comfortably. At least that's what they think, because isn't that the American dream? They say we have the American dream, that we are able to have anything. So here was my response, and I didn't even think about it when I said it. It's just, I guess, what I believe. So I'm curious to know what it is that you believe is the reasoning. So here's what I said. I said, America is a land or a place where you can go and you get an education, and your education for the first 12 years can be free, with the exception of, things that you need during school. So everyone is entitled to at least the same education if you go to public school, and if your parents can afford it. If you go to private school, then that is a better education. So everyone chooses, I'm going to say this, everyone chooses their education, because when you're young, you decide if you're going to do your homework. You decide if you're going to strive to be the best that you can be. We as Americans, we make our own decisions on what we're going to do. Now, some people have more than others. Some people are born with more than others. Some people just automatically get more than others, not for what am I trying to say? Some people just automatically, some are born poor, some are born rich, some become rich, and some become middle class. What we do when we're young decides, what we do when we're young decides whether or not which class we're going to be in. Are we going to be in the lower class, the middle class, or the high class? But I think that that's not exactly fair, because not everybody is born with the same mentality. But I'll go into that in a second. But the reason that I think it's not that Americans don't care about other Americans, so they're not going to help them. My feeling on this is that everyone has the same opportunity, is what I'm trying to say. So because of this, everyone in America knows everyone has the same opportunity to do well as them. So when they see someone who is not doing well, they think of them as lazy, whereas they don't see other countries as lazy, because other countries are just less fortunate. They don't get the same benefits that everyone in America has. They're not guaranteed schooling. They're not guaranteed that they can get a job. There's lots of different things that other countries are not going to get that we can. So us as Americans, we look at that and say, oh, those poor people, like in Africa, what in the world can they even grow in Africa? We need to help them be able to eat. Whereas we look at the homeless here in America and we say, you know what? Why are they homeless? Why are they choosing to live on the street? I hear people say that so much. People don't choose to live on the street. And it's very, very offensive to say that someone would choose to live on the street. Many people go on the street for different reasons, but normally I would guess if they're living on the street and they like it, it's because they have a mental illness. So why isn't somebody doing more to help them? It's because they don't see that they have a mental illness, or if they do, they just simply say they're crazy. And they just dismiss that. They're crazy, so whatever, I'm not going to deal with them. That's the mentality. And it's because people are kind-hearted. All people, I believe, to a fault sometimes, are kind-hearted. But we're also not very forgiving. So if you help your neighbor, you help someone, and then you find out they really didn't need help, or they didn't want it, or they just used you, they weren't really, thankful, I think that hardens you to want to help someone else. So I really feel that that's what it is. I think people are so used to the fact that we all get the same things. No one's entitled to anything. So you have to earn it. And they see people who are on welfare, poor, homeless, as lazy. But our government makes people comfortable. If you do this, we'll give you a home. If you do this, we'll make sure you always have food every month. If you do this, we'll make sure you have diapers for your kids. And none of it encourages them to get a job. Like the welfare to work thing. It doesn't encourage them to get a job. They are allowed to just turn in a piece of paper that says where they went job hunting at that week to get, for that whole month. They have to do 40 hours of job searching. How many, that's even included on the computer. They don't even have to report if they get an interview. I mean, they're supposed to, but who's going to check it? They don't have to report any of that. So if you make it so easy to get by, and that's what they're used to, then they're going to continue to get by. They're going to continue to accept their check, accept their food stamps, and accept their free housing and their free medical. And yes, for them it's free. It's not like Obamacare, it is free. They have to answer to people. They have to do what they're told, but everything is handed to them on a silver platter. And granted, it's not an amount of money that you would, be able to live off of, but when you're not paying rent, you're getting a utility allowance, because most housing places give you utility allowances. You really don't have much. And then you got these people who, we'll just use the women, for example. They have their boyfriends move in who have jobs. They don't report that they're there. They're getting all these benefits. And, they truly make you not feel sorry for them. They're getting benefits. They're getting stuff that they need for their homes, new furniture. I've seen people in public housing have nicer furniture than people that I've been to their homes that have nice homes, because they're spending their boyfriends or whatever money on, their home, making it look wonderful, instead of saving it are doing something with it in order to get out of the situation that they're in. Maybe that's right for them. I don't really agree with it. Do you agree with it? I don't know, but you're supposed to strive for something better. And I think that some people have given up on the something better as long as they have something good. And therefore it makes most Americans say, well, they can have the same thing I can, and maybe even better depending on, how good they are at what they do. Why do I need to give it to them? Now, some people just need a leg up. Some people just need a little bit of help, and then they're gone. They're on their way. They're gone from poor to middle class within, a couple years, going to school, stuff like that. But it's hard for Americans to help those people, because when they see those people, they don't have a way to identify them as someone who just needs a leg up from those people that just exist and enjoy maybe even existing the way. So I don't know. I don't think it is that Americans dislike each other. I don't think it's that anything's wrong with us to the point that, we only care about other countries. I think it's simply the fact we look at other Americans who are in a lower position than us and think that they are lazy. And I think that's what makes it so easy for us to help other countries rather than to help someone on the street that we see. That's the only thing that's my opinion. You may have a different opinion, and I'd love to hear it, because I wasn't quite sure how to answer the kids when they asked me that. And I'm, like I said, I could be wrong, but I really think that's what it is. It's not that we don't want to help our neighbors, because no one likes to see someone go without, and especially children. I will quickly get something for a child, because children cannot get for themselves. And that would be the only reason that people do help most people, is because they know children can't get for themselves. So if their parents don't get for them, someone has to provide that. Otherwise, that child's not going to live very long. So, but that, and if they have a mental illness, people try to ignore mental illness. Mental illness is real. Most of the people you see walking on the street, they have some form of mental illness. I don't know what, paranoid, schizophrenic, bipolar, something that makes them be frightened. And, my ex-boyfriend's mother, classic example, she has to be schizophrenic, although I'm not sure what her actual diagnosis is, but she was always saying that everyone worked for the FBI and the FBI was after her. And who knows? She could have been right. I doubt it, though. I really doubt it. She didn't have anything interesting going on. The FBI was not after that woman. But she even said my kids were working for the FBI. I was working for the FBI. And everyone was working for the FBI, and we were getting paid a lot of money. I really wish I was. If I had been working for the FBI, I would have turned her in 10 times over. I'm just kidding. But it's just the point. That's somebody who has a mental illness, and she would rather live on the street than get help, because she's convinced that when she goes to places that help her, that they're out to harm her. There has to be a way that we can force help on people like that. I mean, if you absolutely know that they're not doing well and that they're living on the street rather than getting help because of fear and not taking medication, then somebody somewhere needs to be able to step in and help them. There's such a thing as Baker Act, where the family can commit people if they fear they're going to hurt themselves or somebody else. But it didn't work for her because she convinced the police officers that she was absolutely fine. And because they couldn't prove that she wanted to hurt herself, although she constantly said it. But I think it was more like a scare tactic for her kids or whatever. But it's really odd. Someone they should have some kind of, I don't know, mediator, social worker that can say this woman or man is not doing well. But then that puts a lot of